Hello? What's up, guys? My name is Sativ, and in this video we'll be talking about some of the factors of success in Arena. Things like gear and team composition, to mindset and situational awareness. In this video we'll be covering a large variety of topics that affect a player's success while playing Arena. While everybody learns at a different rate and in different ways, if you pay attention to the factors brought up in this video and do your best to think about them in relation to your WoW gameplay, you will notice that these factors are the core fundamentals behind a successful Arena team. So, without keeping you waiting much longer, I present to you the major factors of success in Arena. Gear and team composition. In World of Warcraft PvP, gear is often a very important factor. In some expansions, gear is so damning to the team that a player in full battleground gear can simply not contest a player in full conquest gear. It is important to be aware of gear discrepancy and not to get too frustrated while gearing up, as if you're watching this video in Mists of Pandaria Season 15, this is by far the worst season for gear gaps and dependence on full conquest gear. Another huge factor is your team's composition. A team like Rogue, Warrior, Healer may be able to get defensive cooldowns and accidentally kill something through brute force alone, but it is very limited in terms of off-healing, curse dispels, offensive purges, and crowd control. The Warrior would be better off alongside a Hunter or Death Knight if they really felt the need to run double melee, while the Rogue would do best with a Mage, Hunter, Shadow Priest, or Warlock. What you can do to check out what comp is strongest for your class and spec is you can look at FOTM.us. This is a website that has a breakdown of the teams most represented in the bracket. You can also search specifically by your class and spec to find what other people are running that's working relatively effectively, since if 25% of the teams with rogues are Mage, Rogue, Druid, then you know those guys are doing something right. Though gear and team composition will only get you so far, WoW Arena depends on many other important factors, such as your mindset. Everyone is trying to win the match. You should always be looking to communicate with your team after a match and reflect on the tactics or techniques that were effective in the game. Win or lose. When you lose a match, try and figure out exactly where that match started to go downhill for your team. Figure out what you could have done from your perspective before looking at your allies' mistakes. When you win a match, try to determine what it was that put your team in control of the match. Find out exactly what you did to secure that kill. It's important to look at each arena match as a learning experience. Every mistake that happens in the arena, someone gets punished. If your team made the mistake, take note on what it was and try to avoid doing so again. If your enemies made a mistake, reflect on exactly how you capitalized on their poor choices. Most importantly, always talk with your team in a constructive manner. Try to be as positive as you can while giving advice and taking constructive feedback. This type of communication builds synergy that directly transitions us into our next set of factors. Communication and synergy. Communication is one of those things that makes or breaks a lot of teams. It also contributes greatly to your own team's synergy. What's it mean to have good communication? First and foremost, you should be communicating anything you feel is important to the arena match. Calling out your CC usage, cooldowns, changes in your positioning, or who you want to swap to next are all good places to start. From there, you can move on to things in the middle of the match and share them with your teammates, as they might not have noticed that Druid barkskinned your random CC stun, or you didn't notice that Mage wasted his blink. You and your teammate should be consistently updating one another on the status of cooldowns, who's casting CC on who, and if anyone can follow up that CC. Practicing good communication will help your team build synergy and overall improve the flow of your team's gameplay, since you'll be more comfortable with one another's playstyles and be more aware of one another's actions mid-game. Knowledge and strategy. What is important to the match? What sort of skills and actions are we watching for? And what sort of plan can we come up with based on our and our enemies' team comps? There are so many things to learn about classes in World of Warcraft, and even more to learn about the finer workings of Warcraft PvP. From hidden things like Diminishing Returns, to subtle animations of noteworthy cooldowns that drastically affect the flow of the match. There's a lot of things that you must learn and understand before you can fully master PvP in Warcraft. One of the best ways to learn about other classes is to watch videos on those classes that counter you. Learn about their skill set on websites like wowhead.com, examine them and try to determine what their weaknesses might be, then exploit those weaknesses to the best of your abilities. Coming up with a strategy depends on what rating you're playing at, what team composition you're facing or running, and most importantly, how much you know about the game to be able to come up with solid strategies and take into account all the variables that get thrown at you in this dynamic PvP environment. Now you've spent hours honing your skills. You've learned all there is to know about all the classes that give you trouble. You and your friends are ready to step into the arena. You've come up with solid strategies to defeat the team you've queued up against. The gates open and all hell breaks loose. How good is your awareness? Do you notice when the warrior pops recklessness into you? Are you aware of the fact that the druid totally wasted his bark skin? And geez, do you realize you are way pushed in? They're totally going to swap you any second now. These are the types of things that you will pick up on simply through queuing and keeping the factors covered in this video in your mind. When you are actively trying to be aware of these things, you will slowly, over time, pick them up more naturally. Some things that help your awareness are add-ons. Since the basic Blizzard UI is absolutely dog when it comes to filtering out the information that you need to know, I've got a couple videos talking about add-ons that I feel are extremely helpful for PvP, and I'll leave a link to them in the description of this video. Over time, you will pick up on what works and what doesn't when it comes to Arena. You should always be looking to design a plan, execute that plan, and quickly alter the plan depending on the actions of your enemies. PvP has many factors, and your enemy's actions is often the biggest factor of all. You will be playing around your plan, your enemy's actions, and the tool that your team has to deal with those actions. Well guys, I hope you found this video helpful in one way or another. My name is Sativ, and I want you to become an Arena Master.